Hello there, and welcome to the I Never Knew podcast, also known as Inc. This show dives into the life experiences of people who have been through it all and have come through the other side stronger, better, and triumphant. Each story is raw, authentic, and, at times, heartbreaking. One thing joins it all together: the fact that the stories can help the listener learn and grow. Hosted by life coach Maureen, she sits down each episode with a new guest who will empower the listener to set out on their self-discovery journey and start to heal. Now you'll be joined by Maureen and her special guest. Please enjoy the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I Never Knew But My Dog Did podcast. I am Maureen, your hostess, Maureen Scanlon, or Life Coach Maureen, as most of you know me. So excited to be here. I've had a wonderful week of just enjoying some rain here in Texas and spending some time with my precious pregnant daughter, and I got to experience for the very first time my grandbaby kicked, and it was super cool. Of course, I always think I'm like super special and the baby knows me already, and so I would talk to the baby, and I do it anywhere. My poor daughter, we can be in a restaurant and my head's down there by her, unmentionables, and I'm talking to the baby. And so I'm going to be Mimi this time. I have 3 other grandchildren that I'm grandma to, Grandma Maureen. This time I'm going to be Mimi. And so I was down there and I was saying, "Hey, it's Mimi. Give me a kick. You want to see me? You want to hear me?" And I got like 7 kicks. So I'm celebrating that win this week, guys. I hope everyone had a good week, and I hope you've had a lot of wins. One of my wins is my next guest being on my show today, because when he reached out, it was a no-brainer. I said, of course, you have to be on here, because his story, guys, it's just, it never ceases to amaze me how much the humans can go through and still come out. And you should see him. He's super handsome and he's full of joy and he has a big giant smile, and I love his energy. And when you hear what he's been through, you're just going to go, oh my gosh, how can he be this person? So today I'm talking to Adam Lucero, and I'm going to let him tell his story, because in his bio, he tells what happens to him, but I think it's much more powerful if he tells it. So I just want to say hello and good morning, Al.
Oh, quite an introduction. I appreciate you and appreciate you having me on.
Such an honor, such a privilege. And this is going to be so powerful. And I'm intrigued and I'm on the edge of my seat. Like I need to know, but let's start with what we call the knee story. I call the knee story, which is that moment in your life. And most people answer it, well, there were a lot of knee stories, but really that knee story that you went, oh my gosh, something has to change. Something's not right here. And I got to do something different to get out of this insanity cycle. So let's talk about what led up to your knee story.
Yeah, so it was just the classic go to the movies and get stabbed in the throat situation. It just happens every so often, as they do.
Your run-of-the-mill stabbed in the throat moment.
Yeah, just going to the movies and stabbed in the throat. Classic. No,
I love you. I love you already. Listeners, come on now. You gotta love that. Okay, tell us. Give us.
All right, I'll rewind a bit here to give you guys some more context. So basically, I graduated college and I accepted a sales job up in Northern California, and I didn't really know anyone in the area, so I stayed with my aunt. She tells me, on Wednesday, you have to be out of the house for 8 hours. I have clients coming over. Like, okay, I know one other person. Let me see what he's up to. Hang out with him for 4 hours, and then he has to go. So I'm like, all right, I have 4 hours to kill in an area I know no one. Like, what do I do here? And so I go to the movies alone. It's like a Wednesday, 2 p.m. And so the movie starts. I'm just sitting there enjoying the movie. And then all of a sudden, I hear like feel a hard hit to my throat. And my initial reaction was like, this guy hit me hard. Like, I grew up with 3 older brothers. I know what it feels like. I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. And so I stood up. I was like, what the hell? And then I felt another punch to my arm and chest. So I turn around and I push him. And as I push him, I feel a cut on my wrist and ear. And instantly, I knew those weren't punches. I was stabbed. You see, the thing is, when you think about being stabbed, we only have the experience of being cut. So that's our perception of it. But being pierced is a different feeling. Nonetheless, once I realized I was stabbed, I started yelling like, I've been stabbed. I've been stabbed. The lights turned on and I saw the person who attacked me start running down the stairs. I take off my shirt and wrap it around my neck. I'm like just trying to hold the blood in. And then these 2 older women come running up. They're like, what should we do? I was like, just put pressure on my neck, hold the blood in. So they're doing that. Then I hear someone say, should we call 911? And I kid you not, as I'm bleeding out, this literally is an exact quote. I'm like, yeah, you should call 911. If you don't call them now, when would you? Like, literally, this is what they're designed to do. I remember thinking, like, my only emotion was just rage. I was like, are you kidding me? Help me a little bit, please. And so then my perception of time's a little disordered. I'm bleeding out, adrenaline, whatever. And then I'd say about 5 to 10 minutes passes before paramedics come, and they get there and they start asking me all these questions. What year is it? Who's president? What's your mom's name? And I get it. They want to make sure I'm conscious and staying with them, but I'm just so pissed off. I'm like, can you just stop and just save me? Like, I know the president. How about you talk about what's going on here with this freaking knife? Because what happened was, like, the person who stabbed me, he got me with one of those chef knives where it gets bigger, closer to the blade, and it went halfway through my throat. Like, you can literally probably still see the scar there. Punctured my arm, almost went out the other side. And this after years of healing. They used to be bigger. And then punctured my lung down here. And so, like, they're like, all right, let's get him up on the stretcher now. And so they put me up on the stretcher, and I feel all my wounds worse than being stabbed because I don't have the adrenaline anymore. And I was like, wow, that was painful. And so they have one person on the front right of the stretcher, one on the front left, one back right, one back left. And then they're like, okay, let's get him down. And so the person in the front right steps over a row of chairs because I'm like in the back practically. And I feel all my wounds worse than getting stabbed. Then the person for the front left. So it was like for every row of seats there was, I felt like I got stabbed in all those places 4 times. So I was like, holy. And so it's the most excruciating pain. Like, I remember being on the stretcher and just looking at the ceiling, like trying not to scream my guts out. I was like, it was agony. And so they get me into the ambulance, and I remember thinking, like, okay, the paramedics got me. I can start to relax a little bit. And as soon as I get that thought, I feel a cold rush through my entire body. And it dawned on me. I was like, I just lost a lot of blood. Like, I could die right here. So I see them come with the oxygen mask and about to put it on my face. And I was like, do not fall asleep in this situation. You're not supposed to fall asleep. They put it on. I knock out within like seconds. I blacked out. Anyways, and then I wake up 7 days later. I'm living off tubes. I came out of a coma, living off tubes. I am just weak and broken. Like, I can feel myself not having the nutrients I need. My body just weak. And it was just at this point where I felt broken. Not only physically, I lost every ounce of muscle from weightlifting, but mentally. I started to doubt myself. I was like, can I still run a business, or is my potential in life going to rot away? And so it was at this point I really had 2 options. You know, I could give up and play the victim card, like, and have a good right to. Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't speak. I'm living off tubes. My legs don't work. Like, it's just nuts. Or I can decide to fight for it. And fortunately, I chose that second path. And basically, it's what set me on this path to learn how to optimize the human body, because I was at a point where I literally couldn't even finish eating a meal because I had such low energy. I would nap at my freaking plate, wake up and finish my meal. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'll leave it right there.
No, what's so interesting to me is, a lot of people will view it as you woke up out of the coma, and people are like, oh, thank God I'm alive. That's fabulous. And
no, you're right.
Gave us the other spin where it's like, man, I don't know. It's you don't have instantaneous gratitude. It's like, oh my God, I lost so much. All that blood that ran out of you, so did the motivation, so did all the doubt, is there, and all those that confidence you had. Now you're like, And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but in a way you're like, man, I'm just a shell of who I was. Like, how do I get back all that stuff that I was? And listeners, I say this in every podcast, in every situation, for every human. It is when we choose, when we make the choice to do something different. And Adam just said, I had two choices and I chose the one that said, I've got to fight. And I think that's really what the I Never Knew podcast is just a bunch of fighters on this planet who said, I just can't be bitter. I have to be better, or I can't give up. I have to fight. And so thank you for giving us that perspective. So it wasn't an easy recovery, I can only imagine. So how did you do this, like step by step, come back to who you are?
Totally. And so there's so many parts to it. Like I had to go to physical therapy because my legs forgot how to work. Like I remember I was laying down on a bed at this angle, like 45. And they asked me, like, Adam, do you want to get up and try going to the bathroom? I was like, yes, like I want to do things that can improve myself. Like, let's do this. And I went from this position, just lifting my body up to like this position. And I felt like I was going to throw up. Like I looked at the same spot in the ceiling for 4 hours because I felt like I had super crazy spins. And if I stopped looking there, I threw up. And I was like, I'm going to throw up into tubes. Like, how is this even going to work? And so the next day we tried the same thing. I luckily got off my bed, found out my legs didn't work. So the first thing was I had to do physical therapy to get my legs working again. I had nerve damage in my tongue that prevented me from speaking, and had to go to speech therapy, normal therapy. I have a metal plate in my face. I had to go to EMT. And so I had to do all these key activities, but at the same time, I didn't have the energy to do it. I couldn't think clearly. And so, like you said, it was getting to this point in your mind where you say, you know what, I'm not a victim. I'm going to step into my power. This happened. Accept what happened. Because once you have that full acceptance of what happened, there's no more like pity talk, like no more feeling bad about myself. It's like, no, that happened. Like, how is me sitting there and complaining about what happened to me benefiting me? It's not. And so once I fully accepted what happened, it gave me this mental frame where I was like, okay, these are the key activities I need to do. And every single day I simply did them. And I guess the motivation came because when I was on my deathbed, I told myself, like, in 1 year, I'm going to be faster, I'm going to be stronger, and I'm going to be happier than I was before, because before I got stopped, I was in a great place. And it just came to be from doing these activities day by day. In 1 year, I ran a 4:59 mile. I was putting up close to as much weight in the gym as I was before, not as much, but close. And I was just, again, in a really happy place. So it's having this kind of goal minded, like having this goal in mind, and then making the mental switch to, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah. But how do I, like, if I have listeners who I'm sure have been there, and I've been in my own shit show, and everybody knows my story of overcoming narcissistic and DV relationships, and just feeling so sorry for myself that no one's going to love me, boo-hoo, I think I'll go eat worms. But, it's that place between I want it and I'm here, and that in between, like, you didn't go from in that bed being nauseous and dizzy to running that 4:59 mile. How do we just baby step the determination or the motivation to just get out? And this applies to people with mental illness, like depression and stuff like that. How do we just get that one moment that gets that momentum started?
So I think it would be a little bit different depending on whether it's motivation or if it's more like mental issues, like in terms of like negative talk and stuff like that. When it comes to like motivation to make that changes in your life that are going to improve your life, like you working out, you eating healthy, going to bed early, whatever it is, if you fail that you consistently do that, then what usually needs to happen is, or what we do with our clients is, we ask them questions that really get them thinking, like, how are you going to feel in 3 more years if you're still not going to the gym and all these problems you have start to get worse? You're gaining more weight that's preventing you from running around with your children. Like, is that the life you want your children to have? And so when you ask these questions that show them the consequences of their actions, oftentimes I find that it really inspires people to change their actions for the good. And so I say inspire because it's like, inspire versus motivation. Motivation goes up and down like a roller coaster. It's directly correlated to your energy, which is why you're more motivated in the beginning of your day versus the end. But inspires comes from a place where it's like a perspective change. It's on the subconscious level. You're motivated to change your actions and it's longer lasting. And so typically that's what I would say works for most people when they lack that motivation. It's like, one, why do you want this change? You need to really dive deep into it. Ask yourself, why is working out important to me? Well, because I want to get a body that I feel comfortable in. Okay, why is that important to you? Because then I'll be more confident in my day-to-day. Okay, why is that more important to you? Because when I'm more confident, I can be a better father and I can provide a better life for my child. Bingo, that's your core driver. Now that you have this clarity on why it's important to you, you're going to have that inspiration. It's much more deep-rooted. But most people never go deep enough. They only look to the surface level, and that's why their motivation's like this.
Yeah. And that's a concept. I have my diploma in modern applied psychology, and that's actually a concept that we use, which is, okay, but why? Okay, but why? Okay, but why? And you just keep drilling down.
Deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And what I love though, as a life coach myself, that's not something that I do is say, well, how will you feel if you don't do this? That's interesting because I'm always you will be this, picture it as if it already happened. How do we get you there? So that's an interesting spin for me to even use that technique and say, well, how would you feel if you didn't lose weight and you had a heart attack and passed away? How would you feel, with your children being motherless and that's kind of it's a little bit
even
of a
right there. Even as you said that right there, it made me feel something. I'm not even a mother, obviously. I'm not a parent even. And so like, even as you said that, I was like, whoa, like, holy, I don't want to make my daughter or son be fatherless. Like, holy moly.
Yeah. And I'll use techniques like that, like worst case scenario, because a lot of people, we use these cognitive distortions, which are, the if thens or the black and white thinking or the catastrophizing. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, but then it's going to end up horrible. And that's kind of what you're doing is you're kind of saying, okay, if you want to catastrophize, let's go, what's the worst thing that could happen if you don't do this change? So I love that. I admire that you use that. And listeners, I'm just going to say this, and I say it all the time, whether you do counselors, coaches, traditional therapy, I truly believe that life coaching is different, but I also think it doesn't matter how many life coaches are in the world. There's 100 million. We all have something different, and we're all saying the same thing and helping you because our goal is to make you succeed. But just like this, I get to learn from Adam and be like, oh, dang, Adam can teach me something. And I think that is the beauty of the evolution of coaching and mindfulness that we're in. And we're so lucky to be in this place, this time and space reality. So you just gave me that epiphany. So Adam really, really specializes in helping people overcome traumas, but then also mainly is it with business that you help people with that motivational mindset?
Yeah. So basically performance and productivity. I typically work with really driven people, whether it's high level like CEOs or higher upper ranks or salespeople since they're commission based, or mainly entrepreneurs because they're the most hungry for the change. They see the biggest benefit, right? And typically we break it down into 3 core pillars. The first step is, again, what we call mind linking. Most people, they don't take consistent action. They fail to uphold their promises. They don't feel motivated. And so what we do is they consciously declare they're going to change their actions, behaviors. I'm going to eat healthy, work out, goes good for a few days. They feel fantastic. But then, one day they feel tired, lazy, and motivated. So they say, oh, I've been doing a fantastic job. I deserve one day off, only for that one day to turn into another and another. And so they go in this vicious cycle. And that's because they're using their conscious mind to try and create change. They're declaring to it. But 95% of your actions are derived from your subconscious mind. And so, and a good example of that is, because I know some people are thinking, no, I make all my decisions. Okay. When you woke up, did you think about which hand you're going to use to lift the sheets off your body? Which foot you're going to land on first, where you're going to step next? No, these happen subconsciously. And so when you link your 2 minds together, then when you tell yourself that you're going to do X, Y, and Z, you actually do it and you feel motivated to do it. And so that's really the step one, because that's going to bring a lot of, first of all, peace of mind, but more consistent action, more motivation. So now you have the right mental state. But then the other factor is, look, if you don't feel good, you wake up, you have mental fog, you're not thinking clearly, you have low energy, that's going to bleed into your productivity. You're not going to be in a state of focus, creativity that produces quality work to grow your business or do whatever you need to do. And so this is where we go into superhuman performance, where we focus on boosting your energy levels, your mental alertness, really your brain performance. And then the last factor is going to be all about getting your freedom back. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't manage their time too well. They do tedious tasks that they could be outsourcing for, like, video editing, posting on social media, or writing emails, or whatever it may be. And so what we want to do is delegate all your tasks, build out a high performance team so that your business grows 4 times quicker with you working less, giving you the time to go spend with your family. And so the beauty is, like, it's really synergistic, because once you have the right energy, you have the right mental performance, and then you're working less, well, now you make better decisions. You can go on a date with your girlfriend, your wife, or you can take your family somewhere because you have the energy to do it, rather than being so drained that you're like, I just need to recharge and just sit here doing nothing. And so it's really a synergistic system to make it so that you're more productive and you have more free time, in a sense.
I could not agree with you more. And being an entrepreneur, and I have however many businesses I have now, I think I'm up to 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
And I consider my podcast a business because it actually takes up most of my time, which is funny, but it's the 100%. One that I make no money at, but but it's the one that I love the most. It's crazy that the free one is the one I enjoy the most, while I'm coaching too. But I love that you said that, because you're right. Without the energy, we can't even take action. We don't have any motivation. It's very hard to connect your mind to a body that has no will to do. And the freedom, my story, when I started coaching, I remember on whatever it is, Yelp or Google, you put your hours, and I literally had like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. on there.
Oh my God.
And I would drive to people. I would drive 20 miles to go meet with someone to do a coaching session.
Oh my God.
I love that you said that. And I reached a point of sort of exhaustion where it was like, what am I doing? Yeah. I was like, I can coach anyone between 8 and 5, and they can come to me and we can do this online. Thank you, COVID. It convinced me that all of this.
Take it online.
Yes. And I used to be, the whole Gen Z attitude of, no, I need to be in your presence and feel your energy. Nah, you can feel me as much as if you were sitting in the room with me.
100%.
And that's part of it too, is that flexibility of learning to just accept new things. Guilty of not hiring people to do all of my stuff. I am kind of coach the coach here. I'm kind of a control freak. So it's like, I need to know everything that's going in and out. And so I have what would you tell a CEO or an entrepreneur like me? Because I always tell mine, at Walmart, you don't see the CEO working at customer service. So it's easy for me to say it. But when it comes to my own business, I protect it like a baby. Do you hear that often between
whether it's like you're afraid to delegate tasks because you don't trust them, you don't think they'll do a good enough job or whatever it may be. But then it's like, to your point, it's like, okay, do you want a 7 or 8 figure business? If the answer is yes, then you have to perform like a 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur. So when you look at these high performing people, like let's look at Elon Musk. Do you think he's sitting there installing solar panels onto the buildings? No, of course not. He focuses on high leverage activities that actually grow the business. He spends his energy, focus, and attention very efficiently. So if you want to grow a business to his point, you have to operate the same as him. And he doesn't needlessly spend his time. He delegates that. He has 30,000 plus employees. So again, that's kind of the way I'd phrase it, but it also depends. It's like, maybe you're more impacted with your family. It seems like you're a mother, you have a big family. So I'd probably take a different route with you and say, okay, well, how much more would you enjoy life if every single day you spent 3 hours less working and instead with your daughter, with your husband, you went on a date, like what would that do for your quality of life? What would that do for your marriage? And most importantly, what kind of example would that set for your children?
Yeah. And I think the key thing when you are an entrepreneur, actually, no, it's not even just for entrepreneurs and CEOs. This is for everybody, listeners, is when I finally learned how to work to live versus living to work, man, did my life change. And when I gave up my corporate job, which I was in, and it was soul sucking, and everybody knows how much I despised it. But I did it because I was a single parent and I was in that situation where I didn't believe in abundance and I had a terrible relationship with money and no belief in risk because I was programmed not to take risk.
Yep.
It was literally when I talked to a random person who said, you know, Maureen, you can't swim or run if you got one foot on the beach and one in the ocean. And I'm like, what? Just a person on LinkedIn. I love her, and I'll never ever not be grateful for that profound moment of awakening for me. And also the final belief of saying, if I don't believe in this 100%, how is anybody else going to sign up for my coaching? If I don't believe in it 100%, why should they? And so I go out now, like I was telling you, like, there's a million coaches out there, but you're never going to get a coach like me. Cause I have to believe, because I've had 100% success rate. I believe I bring something different because my life experience is different than Adam's. Adam's going to be able to bring something so much different to the table for the people that need it from Adam. And mine are going to come to me for the things that I give. So do you find a key thing and do you teach connectivity between, you know, people and relationships? Because I know everything in business can become very cold and superficial. Do you find that it's important that we start teaching more about relationships in business?
Well, not only that, but every aspect of life. And so again, this is why I don't focus solely on increasing revenue. That's just a byproduct of what happens when you come in our program. We focus on enhancing your life quality in every aspect, accomplishing more so you're proud of yourself, but also focusing on your relationships. If you're working so much that you neglect your relationships, you're going to feel unfulfilled. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I used to work 12 to 14-hour days for probably 4 or 5 years on end. Didn't talk to any friends. Whenever they invited me places, just told them nope. And so like eventually I stopped getting invited, you know, and I just found I was like, yeah, my business is growing or whatever, but like deep down something was missing in my life. And again, it was the relationships. So we focus on every aspect of your life: business, relationships, health and wellness, spiritual life, like whatever it may be. Because again, work is only so much. Like if you don't enjoy your life and you're too busy working, what's the point of the life? Like, you know, is my train of thought. So yeah.
And to put it as simplistic as possible, it's balance. It's just balance. We lose balance. And a lot of the time, people that are workaholics is because they're looking for that validation because they're not getting it somewhere else. So we have to figure out, why am I not getting validated? Or why am I not validating myself? Like, and I'll tell my clients when I do business coaching, I'll say, what do you have outside of work? Well, I don't have much time. Well, you have time for what you love. And I really encourage something purposeful, like volunteering for a dog shelter or at a children's hospital, or, you know, right. We have to find the ikigai, right? You know, the ikigai, Japanese philosophy. What am I good at? What can I get paid for? And what am I passionate about? That's sometimes our work is just, people go, money. It pays really well. I've interviewed so many people on this podcast who said, my life was perfect, but I was miserable. And I love when I hear that, because on the outside, on paper, in black and white, it looked great. I had a good marriage and I was making really good money, but it's the fulfillment.
Yeah.
And when you're not fulfilled, you're not passionate about what you do. And when you're not passionate about what you do, you have no
Every
motivation.
day feels like an uphill battle. You're just pushing through the motions. Yeah.
I love that my precious mother, who taught me work at a job that you hate for 40 years and then retire and live life, actually said, when I retired and started this business and told her how much I love what I do, she said, you'll never work another day in your life, Maureen, when you do what you love. And I thought, how ironic coming from her. So It's probably the fact that she did that
And then she
and
realized it wasn't.
wanted to do something different, but just didn't have the means, the bravery, whatever it was. So I think it was her way. Although she's a kiss the kid when they're sleeping kind of mom, I think it was her way of saying I'm proud of you. And so, but isn't that so true about we just don't balance. We just don't balance.
Well, it's tough too, especially if like things aren't going good in your business too. Then it's like that has stress, and you want to focus on that, and then you neglect some other areas. So it's definitely is hard to find that balance, especially as an entrepreneur. You know, you can get so caught up in your business too because it's your baby, and it's like you almost have to be addicted to it at a certain point, or addicted to it to grow it. Like that's just the honest truth. So yeah, definitely it's hard finding that balance, but it's kind of a journey. I'd say, most entrepreneurs don't have it right away, but then they go through experiences like yours or mine where they're like, well, shit, I was doing this wrong. Like, I don't feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm missing relationships, and so yeah, it's just a journey to kind of figure out what works for you.
Yeah. And what advice would you give someone like me? Like I've had a lot of people come to me and say, we can help you grow to 10-figure coach or whatever. And I'm like, but I really like where I'm at. No, I'm not, definitely not even a 6-figure coach here. But the fact of the matter is I love the schedule I have, and I don't need 10 clients a day. That would stress me out. I don't want 10 clients a day. But there's that fine line. Like, do you want to be successful? Well, what does success look like to each person? For me, this looks like success because you know what? I don't need 10 clients. I have 3 clients a day that are very, very successful. But I also have sort of this grind mentality. I'm definitely not of the millennial mindset where it's like grind. I'm kind of like, I can talk to someone, I cannot talk to someone. What I do is love my coaching, love my podcasting. So I'm going to put my energy into what I love. And is as lucrative if I, grind and try to, get 15 clients a day. I don't want to do that. So what do you tell people? Am I like the anti-client for you?
No, again, I mean, it just ultimately kind of depends what your goals are, So it's like, yeah, if you're perfectly fine how you are now, but if you could also increase it to the point where it's like you're helping more people, you just change kind of how your offer is structured. Maybe it's more group or something so that you can serve more people and also make more money. But again, it depends. Do you need the more money? Is that going to improve your quality of life? Would that improve your daughter's quality of life? And so it just really depends, but you can always still grow your business without spending more time and energy by doing that more efficiently, but in changing offers and structures like that. But
that's great. I love that you just said that. That's helpful to people like me because you just said you can help more people with the same amount of time of coaching one-on-one. You could do group therapy. That sounds way appealing to me because for me, it's getting that message out to more people on how to love yourself and how to find your self-worth. So that's cool. You just gave us an insight into what your business sense is and what your business does for people, your coaching does for people, because we can tweak it to what fits for each person, right?
100%. So that's kind of what we actually do is like one of the very first steps is we want to figure out what your end game is in all areas of your life. What kind of business do you want to have in 30 years? How much free time are you going to have? What are your relationships going to look like? What's literally, once you have this end goal, then you can kind of reverse engineer it and you're like, okay, well, I want to have a 7-figure business, but still only work 20 hours a week. You can create that, but you need to have that clarity in order to make sure that the actions you take align with that end goal. Does that make sense?
Completely. And you'll hear about even in the mental health world and the motivational speaking world, which, for me, I'm going to be on that lawn chair sitting across from Oprah one day, talking to her about how successful my method has been. That's just my goal, whether I'm Brene Brown, Marie Corleone, whatever, that's going to be me. But you're, like you said, how you get there and how much time you want to spend, but you will hear 90% of people who did the grind, CEOs, celebrities, whatever, they've reached a point of burnout. And that's 100%. A big one, because if you hit burnout, you could shut it down, you could burn it down and not want to go back. What do you think burnout indicates to us?
overworking and not listening to your body. There's always going to be signs that you should stop working, but instead you go drink coffee to power through, you disregard your sleep, you don't make those necessary changes. And again, this is literally what we try and combat by achieving more superhuman performance. Get to a point where you're consistently waking up, you have the perfect health, so you wake up energized, focused, and then you're less likely to reach burnout. Obviously, if you don't take care of your health, you're more likely to reach burnout. It's literally that simple.
It is. And I'm in the middle of a course on anxiety and panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I learned, and I did not know, is a burnout is actually one of the highest levels of anxiety buildup that we get. And you think burnout, I'm just exhausted. I'm just focused. No, it's this buildup of anxiety that's never had a release. Right. And it ends up being and I think burnout, what we call burnout today is what they used to call, I had a nervous breakdown. Remember years ago, they'd say, I had a nervous breakdown. Well, it's pretty much one and the same.
Yeah. Different term.
Your body has to have a release. You've got to exercise. You've got to be out in nature. You've got to dance, listen to music. Everybody knows I'm big on let it out. You've got to release. Our bodies are a pressure cooker. And we have to slowly let out steam, and you can do it daily or you can wait until the top blows off. But
it's coming out either way. It's a matter of what form do you want it to come out at.
It's gonna happen. It is gonna happen. And we hope that it's in a healthy way, but a lot of us will, insert alcohol and drugs and sex and food and think that that's giving us release. And it's really not. It's building more of that pressure. I just think you're so amazing. And I to know, like, you were living with your aunt, like, how did she find you? How did she find out you were in the hospital? That had to be so scary for your family.
Oh yeah, totally. No, my family was just like, it was absolutely crazy. I don't remember too much of those because I was in a coma for 7 days, but from everything they've told me was that essentially my mom got a call from the hospital and then she called everyone else. And what happened was I have 3 older brothers. They're all married. And then I have my parents, and pretty much everyone got like a house right next to where the hospital was. And so it was really nice having that support. And then I had friends come visit me as well. And so like that really helped because being in the ICU alone would be terrible. First of all, you're so bored. Like you're just sitting there 12 hours a day doing nothing, probably more. The sleep was terrible because another time, but so it's just really nice having that support for sure.
How lovely that you have such an awesome family that was there for you. And God love your mother, 4 boys. Oh my God.
She wanted 1 girl. She got 4 boys. She wanted a girl, got a boy, and they're like, okay, we want 2 children anyways. So they tried again, boy. And then she's like, 1 more time, like, I want a girl, got a boy. And then she got convinced 1 more time and got a boy again. And so I always say, it's like, I always wish, I didn't wish this, but it would have been funny if all my brothers, all their children were boys too. But luckily for my mom, she got a few girls out of there. But...
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you know what?
Yeah.
There are no X chromosomes going on.
Yeah.
I love that. Our family was, oddly enough, the pattern was 2 girls and a boy. And so my sister, I have a sister and a brother. So 2 girls and a boy from my parents. Then my children's father, he was 2 girls and a boy. My grandmother was 2 girls and a boy. It was just bizarre.
Non-stop.
And then my daughter had 2 girls and a boy.
Oh my! When did the cycle break?
I know. Well, I don't know, because now every generation has had 2 girls and a boy. Like we can find at least someone. So my middle daughter that's having a child, she's probably going to have, probably just 2. So, if you have 3 children in my family, you more than likely are going to have 2 girls and a boy. So it's
so funny.
Isn't it bizarre? It's so bizarre that happened that way. But you are just such a joy. Tell us everything that the listeners need to get a hold of you, find you, sign up for everything and anything that you have.
Yeah, gotcha. Basically 2 different ways. You can message me on Instagram. My Instagram's Adam Lucero, then the number 1, or alternatively, you can just go to superhumanceo.com. Basically, that's just going to have like my case studies, my story. And then if you want to work one-on-one with me, you can book a call. We'll chat and see if it's a good fit.
Love it. Absolutely. Love, 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 love. I love your story. I just think you're amazing. And I love your attitude. I love your mindset. I love your ideas. I think those three things that you talk about is the mind linking, the energy, and the freedom, I think are absolutely key. And I love it when we only have 3 steps and not 50. So it's very, very simple for our listeners. I just love it. So Adam, here's what I do, because most of my podcasts are kind of heavy subjects. So I end with this fun little segment called Take My Money. And this segment is, what is the weirdest thing you bought or you've seen for sale? And while you're thinking, I'm going to give you what I found today.
Okay.
I found a Chick-fil-A chicken nugget in the shape of a Nike swoosh for 99 cents on eBay. Fabulous, right? It kind of looks gross, actually. I'm not gonna lie. It looks kind of dried up and okay. So that we'll just leave that there. But this the ingenuity, and maybe you can appreciate this because we're always trying to find ideas and different things for our CEOs and for our clients. Someone has an egg. Yes, an egg, a regular large grade AA egg on eBay for $5,000. And I had to go to the description and be like, what are you doing? Happened? And all they have is large grade AA egg. And then this is what I love the most. Okay, this is my humor. This is so my humor. And in quotes, it said, great for egg stuff.
Did it have sales? Were people buying it?
There was one single egg, a picture of a single egg, $5,000. I'm just saying, you know what? Why not? Maybe there's a buyer out there for you, buddy. And if it is, I'm taking coaching from you.
Now that you mention it, I guess the one thing that popped into my mind was, there was an app called I Am Rich, and it was sold for like $10,000, and it literally has no utility. I don't even know if it opens, but it had like 9 reviews or 9 sales or something. I was like, this person just made like $100K creating an app that's called I Am Rich. It's people that are so rich that they don't care what 10K is to them or whatever. It was like 9 or 10K somewhere in there. So I guess that would be a crazy purchase. I didn't do it, but yeah, that is a crazy purchase.
I love it. I love it. We need to find that little tiny little loophole where there's just something unique and different that someone wants, because they say there's a buyer for everything, right? Oh my God. So I love it. So that's our segment for today. I hope you all found that interesting. But I find you to be such a joy, and I am so glad that you weren't meant to leave us yet. You were supposed to be here to do amazing things and to help each other. And I'm honored that you were here. And thank you for the hour of your life that was gifted. It's a gift. It's a gift to me, because time is the most valuable thing in the world. So it's not money, it's not things, it's time. So I'm so happy we got to meet, and we're going to be connected here forward. We're going to keep in touch. So thank you, my love. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you having me on.
So listeners, that's going to wrap us up for this week. I hope you enjoyed Adam as much as I did, and just know that there's nothing that you cannot overcome. And that was a double negative. But just
we're going with it.
I'm just sticking with it. You can overcome anything, and Adam is proof of that. And a lot of people who've overcome it. You can listen to any of my episodes now. That everybody has their things, and there's nothing that can stop you from creating the life you want. No one has control over it except for you. And I love you all for being here. Thank you for all the 5-star reviews. We are complete 5 stars on Apple. That's so cool. I appreciate you guys' comments. Anyone who wants to be a guest, please feel free to reach out. Let's just have a conversation. I'm quite chatty, as you can see, and I have no problem having a conversation. So thank you all. You all know where to find me for coaching, relationship coaching, dating coaching, self-esteem, self-worth, business coaching, all of it at lifecoachmaureen.com. I am also now, I have an agent who is now helping me go out there and do some speaking events. And I'm really excited about that, especially here in Austin to get to my people. My books on Amazon. My dog is more enlightened than I am. And my dog is my relationship coach. And my boutique, our boutique that I have a partner with is mydogiseverything.net. We have a ton of new products. I'm introducing, this is fun, a new product, and they're soft treats for senior dogs and toothless dogs, which ironically at a market this weekend, there were 4 people that came up to us with toothless gummy dogs. So I was like, okay, we got to find a way to get something. So these are healthy treats. It's all holistic, no preservatives, no xylitol in the peanut butter. Everything's organic and fun. So lots of new products. Go on our website. Go check it out. Get your furry babies some fun stuff that they deserve. Because if they don't, I don't know who does. So I love you all for listening. Take a breath, Maureen. Anyway, love you all. And until next week, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Most of all, please take care of those furry babies. And we'll talk to you later.
Thank you for tuning in to the I Never Knew podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring and educational, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and spread the word. The more people that join the Inc. community, the more it can develop and influence others as we work together for a healthier and brighter future. Until next time.